21. The CR key.
So we're going to pretend that it's stuck. Okay, so if it gets stuck in a weird place and like can't go back and forth, you take off the sinker plate, toss her into CR, and you can remove it, and then you fix anything that is a little awkward. Make sure when you put the carriage back on that you put it back into whatever you were doing, because if you don't, it won't end well. Now, what does it say about CR? Push the CR key, the ready lamp flashes on and off. Take the yarn out of the feeder. Remove the carriage. If some of the stitches slip back down to the needle bed, change top. Okay, so let's do a pretend. So let's turn this on. Now we're not going to play in my 90 row thingy here. We will go easy one. Oh, that was noisy. Okay, one that's intense. So 102. So step 102, step. Okay, so let's pretend that we were knitting 102. So I'll just bring some needles out. We won't put any yarn in. We're just going to play pretend. Okay. We're going to go several rows. So let's pretend that we got messed up at row 11. Sometimes the stitches have slipped back in the needle bed. Set the change knob to KC1, KC2, and slide the K carriage back and forth across the needle bed at the side of your knitting. No. All right, so we are pretending that there's an issue. Okay, so we're going to lock on this row. The ready light is flashing. Removing it. Put it back on. Does it say we need to set KR, lift up, place, set the change knob to NL. Screw the sinker plate assembly back on the K carriage. If some stitches have slipped back down to the needle bed, set the change knob to KC1 or KC2 and slide this K carriage back and forth. Oh, sorry, babe. Ooh, this is a good example. Okay, so CR is still involved here. We're at KC1, we're moving back. And you can see that it has reset those stitches. And it has locked that row on. Okay. Use your transfer tool to replace any stitches that are on the stems of the needles back into the hooks so that they will not drop off. And it shows the example of where it wants the needles, like the stitches, to be. All right. When all the stitches are safely back on the hooks and the needles, align the needles to B position. So we can definitely put them back in B position. Right? And here it says how to back up the row. So we would back up the row. Enter the number of rows you have unraveled. So let's pretend that we have unraveled enter the number of rows you have unraveled and push the CR key. So let's pretend that we unraveled 3 and push the CR key. So that went from 11 down to 8. And now we will make sure the K carriage is placed outside the turn mark, opposite the yard. So opposite the yard. Okay. Move the K carriage across the knitting with both buttons pushed. So just like we did the neckline. So here, row 8, that is the what row 8 looked like. So what you could do when doing a neckline is to know what row you were on, and then back it up however many rows you need, and then we'll go back to where that is in the pattern, which to me is pretty cool. I hope that made sense. And then you have to remember to take it out apart, put it back into whatever method you were using, and off you go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
And now we move on to something fun, McRib.